booze. Tip the Venmo, tip the bartender if you partook of our free goodies.
Is this? I don't think it's streaming. Oh, there we go. Just having a little trouble getting the stream started, but I think I just did. All right, it's too dark in here. I'm gonna go turn on the light. I'll be right back. No. Hey, baby, I hear them blues are calling. Toss salads and scrambled eggs. Quite stylish. And, baby, I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They call in again. I'm feeling a little better. The last few days haven't been wonderful, but today is significantly improved. Let's see. Hello. Wow, to a bunch of people. Wonderful. Hello, all. Thank you for joining me. You know what? You all joining me makes me realize that I never tweeted that I'm about to live stream. So I'm going to tweet that real quick. Okay. Live stream for hashtag. Gotta remember those hashtags. Oh, we gotta get them good hashtags going. Good hashtags. All right, we're gonna get some hash going in here with some hashtags. Ooh, this is gonna be some mighty fine hashtagging. Then I'm gonna list my website that you are all already on. Hello. Hey, Fraser, says Mark Berner. Hey. I'm not Fraser. I'm Chris. And I sing 100 times better than that hack, Kelsey Grammer. He wishes he had a quarter of the talent that I have when I wield my mighty pen. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry. I don't think any of that stuff. Hello, all. Looks like, do I see any new names? Cornmill looks like a new name. Hello, Cornmill. I did not know that you draw, Chris. This is awesome. Yeah, I draw. I'm not going to say that I'm great, but I draw, and I'm using the Inktober hashtag as an excuse to practice and get better. And I'm just about to tweet that I'm going live. There. Nice to see everybody here. Thank you all for joining me. That's really kind of you. You're a better beast, maybe. I am a bit beast-like. I bite. When I get angry at work, I bite. That's gotten me fired a fair amount, a good amount. I would say that not biting is probably one of the two things I'm working on in life. One is to become a better artist, and the other is to stop biting people at the office. Does not help me career-wise. Got some pop-up windows that are getting in my way. And I'm just about to get started. My hand is a little cramped up because I was just using a ruler to start laying out something. So the prompt word for today was fat. And yeah, I mean, I can think of various famous fat characters, but none of them really felt inspiring. I didn't really feel like, I don't know, it just didn't make me think of anything. So instead I was like, oh, you know what? I skipped the word teeming on Friday the 13th in favor of drawing Jason Voorhees. I'm going to go back to the word teeming, and it made me think of Hong Kong. So I used a photo that I took of a Hong Kong city street teeming with signs and life. And I am going to work on that today. I'm going to use probably just technical pens and see where that goes. Am I up to date on the chat? Yeah, I guess nobody's saying anything. That's okay. That's okay. Got a cute little chat room there. Well, where to start? I guess with this guy. How's everybody doing today? Start of a new week. Start of a new opportunity. Let's become the best version of ourselves that we can be. Right? Gonna draw a cute little backpack here. This guy's trundling around the city. You walk around a city, a big city like New York, LA, Hong Kong, London, Japan's Tokyo, as compared to Mexico's Tokyo, I guess. You need a backpack. Lots of people walking around the city with backpacks. Not too many fanny packs anymore, are there? Let's see. Cornmill asks, are you working on your own comics? I'm not actively drawing anything right now. I had a pitch, but yesterday I heard back. They passed. So I'm giving some thought. But that's one that I'm just writing, I should point out. So just trying to think of what my next thing will be. I don't know. Not really working on any comic book right now. I'm so busy with my regular day job and the comic tropes video, and then this challenge to just become a better artist. That yeah, this is plenty of stuff going on right now. If I can make some strides during Inktober, if I feel like I've made some improvements, maybe I'll draw something. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anja says, you just pleased all your fat fans. That's good, but you know what? I don't think I've got any. I think everybody out there that listens to this, I'm going to guess you're all very healthy, very smart, very good-looking people. Something just tells me everybody out there that has found my channel happens to be, you know, a real impressive specimen of the human race. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure about that. Let's see. Sigmund says, I'm guessing you're a world traveler. I mean, I don't get to travel as much as I'd like to, and I've definitely got friends that get to travel more, but I've been fortunate enough to go to a few places. Last year was good. Last year, we got to go to let's see, we went to Vancouver, LA, New York, London, Wales, Tokyo, Hong Kong. Last year was very busy with travel. It was great. Last year was a good year. This year, not as much. This year's pretty much just been, let's see. Did we go back to Vancouver yet? I think we went to Vancouver. Just got back, obviously, from New York. Going to Boston in December. That's about it. Hollow Nano joins us and says, I'm a handsome mofo. That's great. I'm not surprised. You're probably all handsome. Lobo says, do any of your coworkers know about your channel and live streams? If not, now's your chance to vent and tell the world what you really think of your coworkers. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that none of them watch my live stream, but it's come up with one or two folks that I do some stuff on YouTube, but I don't think that they're interested enough to actually watch it, and I haven't been like, oh, try it out. One of my coworkers has done some sort of technical type of videos on like how to use, Windows properly and how to set up your phone properly and all these things. And he's got like literally millions of views. So it's hard to sort of act like I'm doing anything on YouTube compared to that. I don't want to act like I'm competing or anything like that. And honestly, first of all, they always could watch because this stuff gets archived. So I wouldn't want to talk crap about anybody online because it's pretty permanent. But fortunately, I like all my coworkers, and I don't have anything to really say about any of them that's negative. Seriously, they're good people. So lucky for me, yep, my coworkers are all good people. No complaints. Cornmill says, I'm working on a graphic novel, and I often have your videos playing as inspiration. Oh, cool. A couple people have said that they've used my videos as sort of, what do you call that? Like ASMR. They just sort of like leave it talking in the background. I'm like, okay, that works for me. Cool. So, whatever provides entertainment. That's all I'm really doing. Well, I guess if I'm being high-minded, I've got hopes that people learn a few things every once in a while about comics, but mostly I'm just providing some entertainment because I do think that there's value in being able to relax and be entertained, and maybe eventually find deeper meaning with certain stories. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, cool. What are you drawing? Asks Jesse. Oh, I went back to the idea of teeming, which was one of the words I had skipped because I didn't feel like drawing anything for fat. Nothing really inspired me. So I went back to the word teeming, and I'm using a photo of Hong Kong that I took, a busy city street in Hong Kong. Teeming with people, teeming with life, etc. And then just sort of hopefully going off in my own direction eventually with the details. So we'll see where it goes. I wish I had a good ruler. I had a crummy one that I was using, but it was fine for pencil. But if I use it like with this ink pen, it might smear. I used to have a nice metal ruler that was raised slightly on cork, but I don't know where I put it. Angelica Smith says, do you have a favorite of your comic tropes videos? It's an interesting question. Do I have a favorite? I'll tell you that I have had the most fun when I've done videos just like hanging out with friends, when I've had somebody else to sort of like bounce their opinions off of. So the video I made of Osamu Tezuka, I made when I was hanging out with my friend Jason in LA. So I can watch that and just remember how much fun we were having making that. So on a personal level, I like that. In terms of like just one that I'm overall proud of, I'm not sure if I necessarily have anything like that. Because I just I'm always moving on to the next thing. I don't have a lot of time to pause and reflect on it too much. I try to a little bit here and there and see what I can learn, but yeah, then it's the moment is gone. I'll have to think about that. Off the top of my head, nothing's standing out. Cornmill says, "What do you do for work?" Um, Marketing. We'll say it's yeah, business stuff, marketing. Um, Used to do a lot more graphic design in it when I was younger, but at this point, it's more like project management type stuff, um, coming up with campaigns and how to promote things. I I miss the days when I could do more, hands-on graphic design and stuff like that. But your career evolves as you get older. So yeah. What else are people saying? Ghost Dog says, "Stop downing yourself." I'm not sure if he's talking to me. Sigamigs asks, "What exactly are independent comics? I'm a little confused on the terminology, but aren't Image, Vertigo, etc. big companies?" Yeah, I mean, everybody basically will have their own personal definition of what constitutes independent. But I think, well, Vertigo is an imprint of DC, so I don't think an imprint of a larger company counts. I don't think Image counts. I think it has to do sort of with market share. And I think that like Image and Dark Horse and several other companies out there have significant market share such that it doesn't make sense to call them independent. I hear people call Image independent, and I'm like, based on what? Because it's not based on like the content that's put out. It's based on sort of the size of a company, in my opinion. To a degree, I guess that like indie companies focus on different material, but I don't know. I think of them as essentially small press, which is not like derogatory. It's just based on overall market share. So I would say that like Fantagraphics and Drawn and Quarterly are some of the bigger publishers within independent comics. Um, and independent comics also don't necessarily uh, have a company that's like trying to own the rights to things and turn that into intellectual property for video games and things. I think that they're more just established as a publisher primarily anyway. That's what I think. But different people are going to have different definitions. What else? What size Copic am I using right now? And that comes from a real dum-dum named Jason Rodriguez that doesn't know a thing about comics. I mean, he knows... Now, wait a minute. Jason Rodriguez? How's it going, buddy? It's nice to see you. It's the smallest Pigma Micron, the 005. So that's like a 0.2 millimeter wide line. And I'm joking, but Jason Rodriguez is a good friend of mine. maybe my best friend, and he makes comics and he teaches about how to write for comics, mostly with like kids. And he's been my editor on a few comic projects like Colonial Comics and I don't know, probably some like self-published indie stuff that I'm forgetting. He's a great guy. I missed one or two things. Let's see. Lobo says, "Do you have any stories of stumbling across a valuable comic for a cheap price and flipping it?" I'll tell you my one story in a minute. I've never really tried to flip a comic, so no, not really. Don't really have a story like that. Every once in a while, I toy with the idea of selling some of my copies of Walking Dead #1, but I don't know. Just all seems like more of a hassle than it's worth. I'm like, all right, so I make a few $100s once. I don't know. I'm not against it. I just find it kind of. I don't want to. I don't want to spend my time doing that. I guess I just don't want to spend my time doing that. But tell me what you flipped. I'm curious. Ghost Dog asks if I'm a Jay Oliva fan. I don't know who that is, I'm afraid. So I can't say that I'm a fan, but I'm curious. Whoever it is, I'm curious. Anja says, "Are Dynamite, Tangent, Amalgam active comic publishing companies?" Dynamite absolutely is. Wait. Is it? I said that too fast. I think Dynamite is active. I haven't heard of anything from Tangent or Amalgam. So Google will be your friend there. What comics are you reading or have recently read? I'm not reading a lot of ongoing monthly stuff like each week. I tend to instead like wait for reviews and then pick up whole arcs in like trade paperback or honestly like digitally. So that said, I read the Kill or Be Killed by Brubaker and Phillips. Because I proofread it, I see all of Kirkman's stuff and the stuff that comes through Skybound. So, you know, Walking Dead and Invincible and all that. I see all that. I keep up a little bit with Dan Slott's Spider-Man, which my pal Godzilla Mendoza absolutely does not like, but I do like, and at some point I want to debate him on why it is good. We have very different opinions on a few comics, but I really respect his knowledge. We'll team up again. What else? That's about it right now that I can think of. I wish there were 2 free comic book days a year. Well, hell, if you're wishing, why not wish for 365 of them, right? No, it's a great event. I love anything that gets new readers into comics because that's the biggest threat right now to the industry is not doing enough to make it affordable or easy to read for new readers. There needs to be way more effort put into that. Angelica Smith says, "Do you have any comics on your to-read list? Also, have you ever considered having a blog to post your comic trope breakdowns, art, etc.?" Comics on my to-read list, I probably do, but nothing's coming to mind right now. But I do occasionally write for a blog. I used to do it a lot more right before my videos, but if you go to the robotspajamas.com, I've written a lot of stuff for that site over the years, a lot. So everything like comics, movies, toys, cartoons, a lot of humor pieces. So yeah, I've written a lot for that site if you're curious about my writing. And now that I think of it, it also has a bunch of my art because I've done some comic strips for it before. So I don't want to toot my own horn too much. But yeah, you can find a lot of my writing and artwork at therobotspajamas.com if that's something you're curious about. Jason, my pal, says, it's good. Also, I think Image can be indie based on page rate ownership. Just my 2 cents. That's an interesting point of view. See, I think it's defined by the company. You're basically arguing that it's defined on the size of the title, like, and how much they're earning. But I would argue that it's based on the size of the overall company that's publishing it, whether it's indie or not. That's my 2 cents. Lobo says, in a store that mostly sells used books, video games, and music, I found a worn copy of Batman Adventures number 12 for $1. First Harley Quinn. Not ashamed to say I sold it for a few $100 and quickly ran out and bought some low-end prostitutes that very same night. That's awesome, Lobo. He may not have said the stuff about the prostitutes. Sigmig says, I just picked up volume 2 of Kill or Be Killed, but I have to catch up on other stuff on my to-be-read. Bad People says, you'll lose that debate. I'm not sure what debate is being discussed. Oh, okay, hold on. The biggest threat to the industry is alienating the fans. Many creators are attacking fans merely for offering criticism. No, I don't know if that... I don't agree. I think it's more important to get new readers constantly than hang on to old ones. I don't think that at least with superhero comics, I don't think it's important to hang on to the same readers for long. I don't think that they should ever plan on hanging on to those readers for more than 10 years tops. And at that point, you start getting interested in other genres. Too many fans in superheroes get like obsessed with keeping things the same. It gets boring. And no, look, I don't think it's ever right to attack a fan if that's happening. I definitely don't agree with that. But I also think that there are some things that you can't stay quiet about, and if fans disagree, they can speak with their wallets, and we'll see what happens. But I honestly think that the biggest problem in comics is making them affordable and engaging to new readers. I don't think that there's enough of that. And I don't just mean young readers either. I mean that there should be content for all sorts of ages and interests. If I went to Japan or Europe, there are going to be comics for all sorts of adults. There's going to be disposable stuff that they can read on their commute to work, and if they really like it, they can go to a bookstore and pick up like a trade paperback collected edition that's really nice. I like that model. Let's see. Anja says, Stan Lee used to write for DC. Not really. He did a few gimmicky projects later in life. That's all. He didn't. He was never he never was an employee of DC or anything like that. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I think he only did that stuff in like the 90s, which is pretty much well after he had retired from being an active writer at Marvel. He was just sort of on his own, doing his own stuff. Bad People says, they're not getting any new readers, Chris. They're alienating them too. It's not about keeping things the same. They're preaching at people. I don't know who they are in that. And that is who is they that they're preaching at people? I'm just not always able to follow the thread 100%. Since I go back and forth between the chat window and the drawing. Excuse me. I'm feeling so much better than I have the last like 4 or 5 days, but I do still have the tiniest bit of a cough. So haven't beaten that 100% yet. Wish I could play music, but then YouTube demonetizes me. There's some stuff that I can play, but it's not like what I want to listen to. So just something you got to deal with. So you got to just listen to my dumb old voice answering questions. How annoying, right? What else are people asking? Hello, comic book guy. Bad People says Mags Visaggio threatened the majority of the human race with a baseball bat. Well, I don't know who Mags Visaggio is, but if he threatened the majority of the human race with a baseball bat, guess what? He's probably not even going to be able to get past one. Now, if I hear about a creator threatening a single person with a gun, I'll take that seriously. But if somebody threatens the entire human race with a baseball bat, I would let that roll off your back. That does not sound too serious. It does not sound like something that should worry you. But I'm not sure who that creator is. I am sorry. Sigmig says, "What's your favorite thing about Hong Kong?" Ooh, oh, that's an interesting question. My favorite thing about Hong Kong. Not the food. Don't get me wrong, there is lots of great stuff, but I also had a few things that I did not love. I have a friend that lives there. He took us to an authentic restaurant, and they cooked pigeon, and they even give you the head. They just chop it up into pieces, and they give you the full head with the beak and the eyes, and you're supposed to just eat it. And he's like, "No, eat a bite. Eat at least a bite." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I pick up this little pigeon head, and I take a bite out of his neck, and I'm trying to ignore the fact that there's a beak in my hand. Oh, sorry. I just wasn't raised that way, so that creeps me out. I know that makes me an ugly American. I can live with that. No, my favorite thing is probably just the shopping, I suppose. Yeah, like it's pretty cool how much stuff you can get and like good deals. And I've mentioned before that I collect Hot Toys action figures, and those are made in Japan. They've got their own sort of store, and it's almost Disney-esque how much of a production it is. Like when you get there, it's called Secret Base. It's you can find it on Google, but they're not like really listed, and they don't really have it. They don't have a big sign on their building. You just have to know where to go. So it's pretty cool. You really feel like you found something awesome. Let's see. How much was the baby on the Hellboy video? I haven't purchased one in years, asks Mark. Not for sale, I'm afraid. If they were for sale, I probably would have bought a baby like that. That would be fun to have a cute little nice baby. If you ever watched my Ninja Turtles video, which was a pretty early one that I made that with my friend Hallie, and that's her baby, and she was kind enough to let me use her baby for one quick sort of gag, so that was fun. And silly. Geek Workshop says, "Do comic books run through the family? Do any relatives read comic books?" Oh, do any of my relatives read comic books? Not regularly, no. I didn't, like, inherit the interest from my parents or an uncle or anything like that. When I was reading them as a teenager, my younger sister would sometimes get things like Wonder Woman or Archie, but not regularly. But it was just so that, like, she could go with me to a comic book store and sort of have uh, something that she was interested in. So that was kind of cool. I've got a good sister. She always she would share my interests when we were growing up. She would watch horror movies, even though that wasn't like necessarily her favorite genre of film growing up. And but she grew to appreciate some of the good stuff. She likes Evil Dead and stuff. I've got a great sister. But no, it's pretty much just me in my family that reads comics. My fiance has a respect for them and has made a few of her own just to sort of experiment with that because she's an artist. But it's definitely my thing. What are you drawing today, Chris? Asks comic book guy. A scene from Hong Kong. I had skipped the word teeming back on Friday the 13th. Um, Nothing was. Well, no, it wasn't that nothing was striking me. I just felt like drawing Jason Voorhees that day. Today's suggestion was fat. And I just didn't have any ideas for what I wanted to draw for fat. I mean, I can think of fat characters and stuff, but none of it really spoke to me. So I decided to instead go back to that word teeming and sort of use teeming in the sense of this big city. And I'm just sort of having fun focusing on all sorts of details. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Bad People says, new fan are being earned off the movies. But in the case of Marvel, when they go into the comic shop and discover the characters from the movies aren't even in the comics, they don't buy. You know what? Honestly, fans have never gone to the comic stores for the movies. There have been comic book movies coming out pretty consistently for a long, long time now. Certainly since at least 1989 with Batman. There have been a lot. And none of that ever really led to any big bursts of new readers. So comic books should feel free to do whatever they want because all they're doing there is they're producing the material that will eventually be adapted. They shouldn't lock themselves into feeling obligated to make it always match what's happening in the movies, in my opinion. That's too short-sighted. You need to think for, like, what will people be interested in seeing in a movie, like, 10 years from now? Because it takes a long time for a lot of this material to get adapted. Civil War is over 10 years old at this point. And I think that movie, actually, now that I think of it, did a better job adapting that material. I don't know if there's anybody that's been as lucky as Mark Millar in terms of having movies get adapted from his comics that I think turn out better than the comics. So I'm focusing on lots of little detail today, and I know my hand kind of covers some of it up. Hope you'll bear with me as I work my way through all the details of a vibrant city. But I appreciate y'all being here and asking interesting questions. It makes it fun. It's been fun from day one of this Inktober live streaming challenge, and that's 100% because of all of you. It's a really great opportunity to be able to chat with so many interesting, smart people that appreciate the medium of comics, which is a medium I think you can do pretty much any kind of story in. I love how versatile it is. Drishagorsh says, is it Moebius inspired? No, not particularly, although I definitely love the extreme detail of Moebius and also Jeff Darrow. That's somebody. It's not exactly what I always do, but just trying different things during Inktober. This isn't really close to anything else that I've illustrated yet. I haven't really done any architecture or tiny details, so just wanted to try something a little bit different today. Thanks for coming by. Michael Wisman is here and says, just joined. Detailed drawing tonight? What's the theme? The theme I'm using is the word teeming. A word that I had skipped on Friday the 13th, but kind of struck me today. I'm drawing a busy Hong Kong city street. Thanks for asking. An average comic book channel says, I am actually kind of a new reader. The Marvel and DC movies convinced me to read comic books last year, and when I started to read comics, I got so obsessed with the medium and never stopped. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Any way somebody finds their way to comics is great news in general to me. I think that it's the medium itself that I love. And I love sharing it. They have places like McDonald's abroad, but I'll tell you that in Hong Kong, in London, in Japan, you know what's more popular? Fried chicken. Fried chicken is so much more popular everywhere else. So yeah. Let's see. Mark Bariner says, any tattoos? Nope, I don't have any. I like tattoos. I'm too indecisive. I can't decide like what I want and what I'd want in a while. So no, haven't pulled that trigger. If I did, I think that there's an excellent chance I would choose something designed on like a Mike Mignola design. I'm not talking Hellboy, but rather like maybe something like he's got a sun and stars or a sun and moon in one of his art books that I really love. So that might be what I'd go with if I were to pick my first tattoo. Wait, something's blue. Geek Workshop. Did you just give me $2? Dude, that's awesome. It says, you're an awesome YouTuber. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. That's really cool. I don't know what else to say. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. I really do appreciate that. Every little bit of that helps, and I promise you this. That money will go into the show that I produce. It will go to lighting equipment, sound equipment, comic books, stuff like that. So thank you. That's really appreciated. Bad People says, I keep losing the stream, so I'm going to sign off. Oh, that's the first time I've heard somebody say that. I've got a monitor saying what the stream health is, and it says that it's healthy. Huh. That's interesting. And then I've looked at like the videos when they get archived just to quickly check them, and I've never noticed that it gets hung up. Is that something a lot of you are dealing with? If so, I'll have to look into what options I might have to correct that. An average comic book channel points out that Geek Workshop just super chatted. He really did. Geek Workshop is my very first super chat. So I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that. Thank you. That's very kind. I'm loving the spotted blacks already. That car is on point. Thank you, Brendan. Let's see, what else? TARDIS Rider says, good stream here. Cornmill says that he's got good video. So I think that probably it varies based on somebody else's settings, because I've got this like set up. I've got it plugged directly into my modem, and I never really have Wi-Fi or internet problems here. We stream stuff all the time here. So that's new to me. That's new. But I'll keep an eye out. Thanks for speaking up, everybody. Just want to know what's going on. Want to provide the best experience I can. Maybe maybe on the last day of this I can make a little video showing what the setup is, because I think it's pretty cool. I think I've got a really nice setup up here in the art room. This is actually the room where Chrissy, my fiance, paints. So she's been kind enough to sort of let me use this for my drawing, but usually she paints in here, and it's a wonderful setup. It's just very well organized with shelving and paint and just art supplies everywhere. Anything I can think of. I don't know. Do I need an X-Acto knife? No, but if I did, there is one. There's options for playing music, and there's visual reference, and there's musical tools. There's violins and pianos. This is such a great room. I love it. Comic Book Guy says, Chris, if I had money for you, I would like you to make a drawing of Jughead in a wheelchair. It's an interesting idea. Jughead in a wheelchair. I'll keep that in the back of my mind in case I ever need to draw something from Archie for one of these days. Geek Workshop says that the stream is fine for him. Well, that's good, because... Oh, hold on. Michael Wisman just super chatted me. Wow. You guys are making me feel really... That's just really, really kind, guys. Thank you. That really, Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Geek Workshop. Thank you, Michael. Oh my God. Thank you, Mark. Folks, you don't have to do that. Oh, that touches me. That's just so nice of you. You definitely don't have to do that. I'm doing this for myself as well, and I enjoy talking to you all, and I enjoy drawing. So it's really no skin off my back, but I promise you, those donations will all go into comic tropes episodes. So very, very much appreciated. Wow. Thank you again, Michael Wisman, Mark Bariner, Geek Workshop. That's just really, really nice. You're gonna have to give me a minute, because I'm really touched. That's just so nice of you. I sincerely think that, in general, the people watching my show continue to impress me with their intelligence and their kindness. And I'm not just saying that. Well, I mean, what prompted it, of course, is the donations, but it's definitely something I noticed. It's not like everybody is uniform. There's a couple people that don't love what I do, but still comment. It's fine. But in general, I'm just seeing some real kindness, and I appreciate it. But I tell you what, folks, I did get a tear in my eye, Gersa Gorsh. That sincerely touches me, and all I can say is I will put that into the show, and I'm not asking for that. And in fact, like, moving forward, I tell you what, like, here's what I'll try to do for now. If you guys can show me like a receipt that you've donated to a charity that's helping for like a disaster of any kind in the world, could be the earthquakes in Mexico. It could be the problems with water and power in Puerto Rico, the wildfires in California. But if anybody can show me, a receipt that they've donated, I'll I'll give you like a page from this book when we're done, when Inktober is over. If it's more donations than I have pages, I'll have to like reassess, but that's the least I can do because you guys are donating to me. But if you can show me a receipt that you donated to a charity that's helping an area of the world that's dealing with a disaster, the least I can do is try to also give back, and I'll try to give back by like providing a page from here. So you guys have inspired me to try to be generous as well. Thank you. You guys really touched me just now. That's whew, I didn't expect anything like that. And I'm realizing that when I was sketching this, I was like, I should keep the city going. I should add more detail. And then I was like, well, you know what? Let me ink this, and then I'll see. Then I'll see how much more I need to do. But I'm looking at it now, and inking this takes so much longer than my quick pencils. I'm earning a lot more respect for the inkers in the comic book industry than I had before. It's amazing. Like the stuff these guys do is just they really do a lot. Oh, okay. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Does anybody else watch Curb Your Enthusiasm? That show cracks me up. Looks like the chat completely stalled out as soon as I got emotional. Sorry, everybody. Oh, okay. An average comic book channel says sometimes the stream hangs for him and he just reloads the page and it's fine. Brendan Sellers says, Judy. Wait, what did I just say? Did I just say Mr. Show or did I say Curb Your Enthusiasm? Because I like both of those, but isn't Judy from Mr. Show? I thought I said, oh geez, now I totally forgot what I said. I'm just a confused old man. All right, what else? Curb. Okay, did Judy was in Curb? Because there's an episode of Mr. Show where Bob Odenkirk is playing this guy who like teaches you world history while playing billiards. And at some point he just picks up a ball and he's talking to it and he goes, Judy. It doesn't make that much sense, but it always makes me laugh. An average comic book channel says, Chris, did you watch the first episode of Flash Season 4? I did. It was all right. I'm glad that they finally are setting up a villain who is not another speedster, because they've worn that one into the ground. Hope they do something new, a little bit interesting. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that would be nice. Judy. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's weird sort of drawing things without too much detail and just trying to focus on the shadow. But I keep getting hung up in the little details, and you know what? That's been one of my big problems the last few days, is getting hung up on having fun doing the little details and not doing the big overall structure. So I'm going to change things up. So I don't have that much more time tonight. So I'm going to try to outline some of the big stuff. And let's see where it takes me. I'm also trying to move my entire arm instead of just my wrist. See where that takes me. It's all about experimenting this month. I'm trying to just be okay with making mistakes and learning from them. And that's not easy, because usually once I get started on a drawing, I want that drawing to be good. So it's tricky to sort of let go like that. But so far, I definitely feel like I've learned a few things. Here's a bunch of comments here. Mark Barner says, I loved when he took the hooker to the Dodger game so he could use the HOV lane. That was a pretty good one. TARDIS Writer points out to me that the Judy joke is a bad Cary Grant joke. Yeah, I think I knew that and forgot that. Thank you. Do most comic series have one penciler, one inker, and one colorist? It seems like it would need a bigger team to get issues out. Yeah, I would say that that's what most comic series at, like, a Marvel or a DC, usually like Image, Boom Studios, etc. I would say that that's probably the default here in America, is to have one of those people in each role, as well as a letterer. Let's not forget the importance of a good letterer. And you'll notice that as soon as you see your first bad letterer. As soon as you're distracted, you're like, oh, okay. So that's what a letterer does. Oh, I hate bad lettering. Yeah, oh, nothing takes me out of a comic faster than bad lettering. I instantly just think like, oh, was this guy just trying to save money? And no, I don't think you need more people than that. It's just a question of how many pages can people produce in that sort of month-long time frame. And I would say that we found through trial and error that the average artist can at least pencil about 20 pages, give or take, a month. I would say that it takes about at least 8 hours to pencil a page. You need to finish within less than a month so that there's some time for the rest of the production. So, yeah, there you go. What comic book actor best represents their comic book counterpart? Asks Geek Workshop. Very interesting question. You know what I might say? The first one that popped into my head is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. What a lucky accident that was. Because the first guy they chose, the actor's name eludes me, because he has not made as big a mark. But at the time, he had booked the part of Wolverine, and his movie before that was Mission Impossible 2. He was the villain in Mission Impossible 2. And that movie ran late, so he wasn't able to play Wolverine. So they went with a runner-up, which was Hugh Jackman, who was mostly known for doing theater stuff, and some stuff in Australia. But I think he really got to the core of Wolverine. And he did a really good job. Even in, like, a movie like X-Men 3 that's not too great, he gave a really good performance as Logan, I think. So I think that that's who I'd go with. there's been other people that have like sort of done a great job, and maybe like Robert Downey Jr. has made Tony Stark his own, and that's how Tony Stark is now written. That's not really how Tony Stark was before Robert Downey Jr. Personality-wise, he wasn't necessarily portrayed as that much of a sort of a smart aleck and stuff before that. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Geek, I say Robert Downey Jr. He's exactly what I think Tony Stark would be like. Well, he's done a great performance. There's no question. He's yeah. I mean, he does a great job. I'm just saying the only thing I was thinking of was that it's not necessarily how I 100% saw Tony Stark before that. I think it's better. I think Robert Downey Jr. added to that character, gave him more personality, and we'll always think now of Iron Man balanced against his performance. But I think that in terms of accuracy, that's what I was going for, and I think Hugh Jackman nailed it. Ghost Dog says, are you familiar with the filmography and art of Ralph Bakshi? Very unique stuff. I definitely am. And wow, I mean, there's some out there stuff. I don't like all of it. I can't. Yeah, in fact, there's some of his stuff that I actually dislike. Cool World, I didn't care for that at all. That was a movie I wish I'd walked out on. I didn't care for that one. But I do like a lot of his stuff. I think it's interesting, and I like that he sort of tried to sort of do it all on his own. That's pretty unique. So I've got a lot of respect for him there. And I think, if I'm remembering right, he did Mighty Mouse for a little while when I was pretty young, and growing up, I was a big fan of Mighty Mouse. It's hard to remember that now, but I was. So, yeah, he worked on a character that I really liked when I was young, if I'm remembering that right. Maybe it was a different creator. I think it was Ralph Bakshi. Oh, an average comic book channel points out J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. That's true. That's true. That is a fantastic performance. It's a smaller one than like a lead role, but he nailed that character. Not only did he nail it, but that's like who I always think of now. So that's like the best of both worlds. Like he got it right and he defined it how it should be done. Oh man, I would love it if they brought J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson in the next Spider-Man movie. I don't care about what that does for continuity. I know it's a new version of Spider-Man. I would love to still see J.K. Simmons in that role. Oh man. Hello, Mike L. Nostalgic Critic has a great video on Cool World. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that. Ghost Dog says, ouch, I love it all. Coonskin and Heavy Traffic are great. That's fair. An average comic book channel points out that many Marvel characters have alliterative names. Yes, but so do a lot of DC characters. You've got Clark Kent, Lex Luthor, Lana Lang, Lois Lane, etc. So that was definitely just a thing that for quite a long time a lot of comic books had. Billy Batson from Fawcett Comics. So not exclusive to Marvel. A lot of writers wrote like that. You know what? I've never looked into the history of it. I wonder if it predates even our earliest comics, if it's something that they took from, say, pulp. Thinking of famous pulp characters, but none of them are like necessarily alliterative. I don't know. I have to think about that one. Yeah. right, I think I missed a couple questions. What's going on? Mark Berner says, not a superhero, but I always thought of Alan Rickman as Snape, even when reading Harry Potter before he was cast. Yeah, he was pretty exceptional in that role, wasn't he? That was right on. That's kind of nice when you can sort of like envision a certain actor, and then you know what, Ian McKellen. Well, I don't know that I necessarily thought of Ian McKellen before he was cast, but Ian McKellen as Gandalf, he definitely nailed that role. He did a great job. Oh, this is making me really miss Hong Kong. I don't know that I could live there, but it is pretty great. I think I could live in Tokyo. I did like Tokyo a lot. Clean, very clean. Good food, good transportation system. A lot to recommend it. Yeah. How about actually all of you out there? Like, where's your favorite place that you've traveled? It doesn't have to be international, but where's your favorite place that you've traveled? Place that you would love to go back to. Michael Wishman says that he loved Cruel World. Not as good as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but still cool. Huh. Yeah, that one just didn't speak to me. I just don't care for it. That's interesting to see that other people do quite like it. All right, so I'm the weirdo, I guess. I'm the weirdo here. Aliens Are Noob says, I finally got the stream. Yeah, you did. Comic Book Guy says, I think I'm the only one that likes Green Hornet character, and the film needs to be remade. No, it's a good character. It really is. I'm all for another Green Hornet. I say make it a period piece. Let's see what that does. Michael Wisman says, comic tropes, alliterative comic names, please. Yeah, actually, I'm definitely noodling that one over right now. There's a new piece of comic history for me to look up and try to understand. And if I find enough that's interesting about it, I will make an episode about that. That would be. I love looking into comic book history and trying to find out like the origins of various things. So definitely an idea that's percolating in my head. You have never seen as many old-fashioned signs as you see in Hong Kong, mixed with plenty of new high-tech stuff. It's such an interesting blend. There's a lot of like wealth and a lot of poverty, and it's like just side by side. It's that's probably why I'd have a hard time living there. It could probably be a little depressing. Just how disparate it is right next to it. Anyway, but it's got some really interesting stuff too. And when it isn't smoggy, it has beautiful views. But they do not seem to care about pollution the way the rest of the world does. I hope that they get better. What else is going on here? Sorry, I missed a bunch. My favorite place that I have traveled to is the comic book store. That's from An Average Comic Book Channel, laying down the comedy. His favorite place to visit is the comic book store. Thank you for having a sense of humor. I love it. Mark Bariner says, the only problem with Tokyo is the Godzilla attacks. That is the only problem. I love your neck of the woods. I have an aunt in Puyallup. Or, as my dad said when he first visited, it's that pulley up? Close, Dad. Puyallup. Aliens Are Noobs says, I just checked to see if there was a Godzilla emoji. There isn't, sadly. That is an indictment on the entire human race. There needs to be a Godzilla emoji. What are we doing if we don't have Godzilla emojis? We can put a man on the moon, but we can't create a good Godzilla emoji? It's awful. It's awful. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. No, I actually really like Godzilla, so there's a little bit of seriousness in there. Some of those Godzilla movies are bad, but overall, I like the character quite a bit. And I like the latest one. I don't know if anybody here saw Shin Godzilla, but that movie had something to say. That was a really good movie. I think it was one of the first times Godzilla has actually been sort of scary, too. He was a real weirdo creep in that movie. Anyway, I liked it. I have to rewatch it. Fortunately, my friend John, I think, might own all the Godzilla movies. He is a big Godzilla fan. Actually, just gigantic monsters in general. He dragged me to see the Power Rangers movie. Not dragged me. That's overstating it. He was interested in seeing the Power Rangers movie for the chance to see giant monsters. And I was like, yeah, maybe. Maybe it could be good. They've got a budget behind this and have hired some solid actors. It wasn't that good. But it also probably wasn't the worst movie I saw last summer. There were a couple that were worse. An Average Comic Book Channel says, another problem with Tokyo is that many Japanese do not understand English very well. Wow. I've been there twice, and both times, everybody that I bumped into seemed to speak at least some English. I had a fantastic experience with how many people spoke the language, and we were prepared for it not to be that case. Fortunately, Chrissy can get by with a little bit of conversational Japanese that she learned in school. But our experience was that everywhere we went, they seemed to speak English enough to help us. So it made me feel like almost guilty, how good they were at it, considering I wasn't able to speak their language. I would like to. I'm not great at other languages, I don't think. I really don't think that that's something I excel at, but I would like to learn Japanese so that I could go back and have an even better time. But it's just not something I ran into anyway. I thought that they really knew that. I missed a few things. TARDIS Rider has also been to Hong Kong, and he loved the escalator up the mountain. I know, that's such a weird experience. Sigmig says, I think that's a problem with a bunch of places. Business skyscrapers next to slums. Yeah, there's a few cities in India that are like even rougher, like with the extreme wealth and extreme poverty in just right next to each other. I watched a Vice documentary and I was just like, oh my God. Our world has so many problems to address. Well, I wanted to do even more of this one, but it's getting late, and I need to have some food. I need to have some food, folks. Don't you want me to survive? But I like where this one is going, and I don't want to give up. So I'm thinking maybe I'll if I can carve out some time this weekend or next, maybe I'll come back to this one and just keep going. See where inspiration takes me, you know, because I kind of like this. I'm not really going to be able to finish it no matter what tonight. I mean, I'm looking at it and there's so much to go, even with the little bit I sketched out. Yeah, I think I have to call it. I just made a mistake. I suppose that's as good an excuse as any to tell myself to let it go. Like Elsa, I gotta let it go. Oops. What did I miss? What did I miss? I thought Shin Godzilla's first few forms were silly, says Sigamigs. Yeah, but I liked it. Gershigorsh says, after all the booze, I propose cinnamon and citric acid challenge, but only for some hilarious comic. All right, I will keep that in mind. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Yeah. Hello, Karen G. And hi, aliens are noobs. Wait, you're already here. Oh, you must be saying hi to Karen. Cornmill says, I like to travel back to my family in Kazakhstan, which is a long flight from Vancouver. Ah, Kazakhstan. Does Borat offend you because he's not really accurate about what Kazakhstan is about? Do you get tired of all those, like, my wife? Be curious about that. I mean, I find the character funny, but I don't know. Is he offensive? Congrats on living in Vancouver. My friend Rick Remender is up there right now. They're filming the pilot to Deadly Class. Fantastic comic book. Definitely recommend that. Deadly Class, or really anything that Rick Remender puts out. Michael Wishman says, just had an idea for possibly the hardest comic tropes video to get through. Comic Tropes The Unbeatables, a comic based on characters with different forms of IBD. Take a laxative per trope. I'm out. No, no. I have enough stomach problems without giving myself more. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. Geek Workshop says the art looks great. That's kind of you. I like where it's going. There's definitely like areas that I want to spot the blacks, and I want to have like lots of hanging cables and stuff, little details and stuff. I want to put a person in the foreground and stuff. This was a motorcycle I was blocking out. And so like from here down, this is like sort of apartment buildings with stores, and then back here, if I had unlimited time, skyscrapers. So and probably fill in more people down here as well amongst the stores. So that's what sort of was in my head and all, but can only accomplish so much within about an hour. Sorry, Karen. Yeah, I can't do this forever. I need to eat. I'm getting hungry. I'm getting lightheaded. Okay. Cornmill says that he loves Borat. Okay, cool. Let's see. Sigmig says you're friends with Remender. Yeah, I have some funny stories about Rick Remender. That guy's great. It's not like we get to hang out or anything. Just at some comic conventions, and we get to talk online sometime. But man, I recommend his stuff. I think he is a fantastic writer. I think he does so much for comics because he tries all sorts of different genres, not just superheroes. All right, TARDIS Rider says, good night, have a good dinner. I will have a good dinner because one of my coworkers' moms made tamales and I bought a bunch from her. So we're going to go have some authentic Mexican tamales. Gershigor says, don't do any jackass style stunts. Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm only going to do fun, low-key things, and I'm going to focus on the comic books. That's always going to be my focus. So don't worry, I promise. All right. You've all been fantastic tonight. Thank you. This has been one of the most fun nights I've had. I had some interesting conversation with all of you. A couple of you were so generous and donated to me. I'm happy with the way this drawing was going. And I think I may do sort of an extra live stream if I can carve out some time on the weekend to fill in some more detail. And my offer stands. If you are able to donate to a charity that helps, a disaster area in the world, the least I can do is you show me that receipt, and when I'm done with Inktober, I'll give you like one of the pages from this book. Obviously, that would be first come, first serve. It probably wouldn't be too many people, I'm assuming. If it is, and I give them all away, I don't know. I'll figure something else out. But that's just if you can. I'm not trying to pressure anybody. I'm just saying that like the least I can do is try to find something to encourage something like that. Yes, I know. Gershigor says Borat uses Polish words like yik yeah. Yeah, I know. He's not very authentic. And Karen G says that she wants to eat tamales too. Well, I'm not the one that said that you couldn't come over. All you have to do is knock on the door and ask for tamales. You guys are wonderful. I will see you tomorrow night or sometime in the future. If you can't make it tomorrow night, you are all wonderful people. You inspire me. Thank you for showing up. Be well.